tuko tayari kabisa kuleta pumzi mpya. Wakenya wapumue hewa safi mpya, hewa ambayo itakuwa na ukabila.
Ni vizuri wameanza mapema. Sasa nimeona wamejipanga hapo. Sasa wafanye hiyo kazi ya seminar na conference na retreat, wamalize haraka ndio watuambie candidate yao ya tribal chiefs ni nani.
Tonight, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka is basking from the glory of a decisive win for his party in the Machakos by-election, and he is on the verge of moving his political eggs into the new basket named the One Kenya Alliance. Indeed, 'tis the season of political alliances and vote-hunting parties, but if history is anything to go by, the questions are, do alliances work for those who form them, and do they work for the voters? Well, tonight we host the Wiper Party leader to understand the intrigues of the One Kenya Alliance, what he knows about the hurdles that the BBI faces, and the journey to the next election. Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, thank you so much once again for patiently waiting for this moment, and I want to engage you right now. Before we talk politics, however, Honorable Musyoka, I recently saw that you posted on your social media that you got the vaccine jab. Talk to us a bit about that. How do you feel this evening?
Yes, I did. A little fatigue, but it's okay. I've got the Mwananchi jab. I see others have chosen to go for Sputnik something. Very expensive. I can't imagine how Mama Mboga and Boda Boda, and if you like the wheelbarrow guy, will actually afford 17,000 shillings of a jab. I have chosen.
Who are you referring to by the wheelbarrow? Are you referring to Deputy President William Ruto? Is that
you can? Yeah, because I saw him talk about tribal kings, so that's why he forgets he was once a member of Pentagon and things like those. Were those not tribal chiefs at the time? But the point here is that I want to urge that every Kenyan gets vaccinated. And I think it's important to lead from the front. And therefore I chose to go to a common place and get my jab, and in fact the response has been overwhelming. People are saying, now that you've taken it, we feel confident that we're going for this AstraZeneca vaccine. And I want to urge the government to roll out seriously a program where Kenyans are going to get mass vaccinations. I saw an earlier story during the news bulletin where somebody, I think one of the directors, one of the Matatu Saccos, saying at points of embarkation, let there be mass vaccinations. This is a way to go. And so I hope that it's going to be, from now on, a very serious effort. And I know that Kenyans are coming out to get vaccinations per chance to get that necessary immunity, develop the antibodies, because there's nothing to be afraid of.
Okay.
And so I've chosen, if there's anything bad about this thing, I would rather take what Mwananchi is taking.
You've chosen the Mwananchi vaccine. So let me ask you this. You're calling for mass rollout of vaccinations, but you know the government's target is 30% by 2022. As a party leader, does that sound like a country that is serious about vaccinating its people? 30% by 2022.
I would urge to go beyond 30%. I think let us be serious about this. This pandemic is devastating, not just Kenya, but the region, and indeed the whole world. I think that there will be a lot of international collaboration. If we are serious about this, the world will come to us. And particularly where you have vaccines that are World Health Organization approved, like AstraZeneca. So I really think this is a time, this is a moment. We can't afford one life loss is one too many. And I think I heard the head of state talk about that. And we cannot agree more. This is a time. This is a time to really help our people overcome this. Because the economic devastation is also so much that we need to feel for our people.
And that's what I want to ask you, Honorable Kalonzo.
People out of jobs.
Yes. I want to read you a tweet here. Gabriel Kanja wants to hear from you on this. Ask Kalonzo Musyoka, if he was the president today, how differently would he handle COVID-19? Are lockdowns and curfews the best solution? Yet we know what they do to the earning capacity of many Kenyans. What would you do differently this evening if you were President, Honorable Kalonzo?
You see, no head of state acts alone. He must get, like the task force. Remember, there was a COVID committee, in fact, that was supposed to assist. When we had the first wave, we got a few friends under the umbrella of Kalonzo Musyoka Foundation. We even started the food basket for people who were really getting dislocated. Yes.
I apologize for interrupting you, but I think you're veering from my question. What would you do differently this evening if you were head of state? Do you have ideas?
I'm not veering. I'm just telling you. Telling you what you have done in the past and what we can actually do going forward. We must be people-centered. We started with a food basket that time because it was the first wave. And the second wave, the third wave are so devastating that one has to look at the reality, scientifically look at what is possible, because if we don't do some of these lockdowns, I don't necessarily disagree with the lockdowns, but one has also to come with a period, with a formula that will address the suffering of the people. I think, for instance, starting this curfew at 8 o'clock in the morning is a bit too early. Rather we go back to the 10 o'clock curfew and be serious about that. I know that the positivity rate with the vaccinations will come down now. I stress vaccinations. I stress wearing of masks. I stress keeping distances. Kenyans have already gotten used to this Ministry of Health protocols. And so as long as we now know, and I don't think any Kenyan needs to be convinced about the seriousness of this pandemic, but I think we also now to be able to focus a little bit. I would focus a little bit into the future. And believe you me, we are going to overcome this pandemic. I don't think that in another 3-4 months, Kenyans will be where we are today. Therefore, I want to be more positive, keeping hope alive, and encouraging Kenyans to do what they must do.
Honorable Musyoka, I like your positivity, but the truth of the matter is there are Kenyans watching tonight, at least in the 5 counties, who do not know where they'll get their next meal. What suggestions do you have about what the government should have announced?
The next meal.
Yes.
We must remember Kenyans are actually hurting. They are suffering. They're out of employment. Factories have closed. Hotel industry is nearly at a standstill. But we must keep hope alive. And this is what I'm saying. In the next moving forward, we have to grow the economy. We must grow the economy. And I want us to discuss a little bit more seriously, because we cannot continue the pandemic situation forever. We now must look at the possibility of what I'm saying, growing the Kenyan economy. The green gold, for instance. The future of this country will clearly depend on our ability to feed ourselves. If you recognize that 26% of the country's GDP is agriculture, then you have to begin to think in terms of revitalizing some of the... I saw Minister Munya trying to do something about the sugar industry. That's the way to go. The sugar industry, the cotton industry, right? And within the COMESA regimes, because really the cost of doing business in Kenya still continues to be very, very high because of the power costs. This is why in the years gone by, investors will go and invest in Egypt because it's a COMESA country. Because of the low power of the low cost of production. We have to look into these things. We must grow the economy and grow it seriously. We are not going to stay in this pandemic forever. The time to plan is now. Even if we are not able to meet publicly, but we should be able to plan.
Honorable Kalonzo, when we speak to economists, they say the reason why it's not possible to give adequate safety nets at this time is because Kenya's budgets are tied up. 1, in debt. 2, in large infrastructure projects. In fact, an economist on the show yesterday said or asked, is it time for Kenya to review the spending on infrastructure? Some are suggesting put some of those projects on hold and redirect the money to supporting Kenyans at this time. Is that a move you would make? Is that a move you would propose, Honorable Kalonzo?
I think it will be important to have a conversation about this country's indebtedness. Some of us that know how the experience out of our own diplomatic experience, I think it is possible to engage bilateral lenders. I know that some of the commercial debts were very, very expensive, and I think they will need to be renegotiated. But let us just also recognize that when I was President Mwai Kibaki's vice president, we did quite a bit in terms of expanding our infrastructure. The northern bypass, the southern bypass, and of course Jubilee came in and tried to improve even a bit more, but at a very expensive cost. And therefore, we need to be able to recognize, whereas infrastructure, had we actually at the time of independence in the 1960s, put effort in infrastructure development, this country will be very far. I know the city of Nairobi, for instance, was planned for only 500,000 people. We are now talking about in excess of 5 million, 6 million inhabitants. And there's need, therefore, to expand the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. But as we do so, we have to recognize the need now to have a national conversation about the national debt so that we can see what is doable. Even as we stress agriculture, and also as we stress the need to grow also a manufacturing base.
Is that something you'll be championing under the One Kenya Alliance? You have a platform where such issues can be taken to the very highest level.
The One Kenya Alliance is just beginning. We will be discussing. We will, by the way, we stress inclusivity and the One Kenya Alliance. We will discuss all these options. We have the experience, we have the know-how between us, and as the alliance continues to grow, there will be lots of ideas that are going to help this country's economy grow. So I can promise Kenyans that there's going to be a very serious engagement even going forward.
Honorable Musyoka, I want to talk a little bit about your history. They say sometimes to understand where we are going, you have to understand where we've come from. And I've even written this down so I don't make mistakes. Your political journey. On the 14th of October 2002, Honorable Kalonzo, you left KANU for LDP. And then LDP joined NAC, which went on to form government. In 2007, you left LDP for ODM Kenya. You vied for the presidency, but ended up in an alliance with Mwai Kibaki, and you became the vice president. Let's fast forward to 2012, where your contact with Kibaki seemingly dropped off. You went into an alliance with Raila Odinga through the CORD alliance. In 2017, Honorable Musyoka, CORD became NASA to accommodate Musalia Mudavadi, Honorable Wetangula, Honorable Isaac Ruto, etc. Now in 2021, 2022, it sounds like you're leaving NASA for the One Kenya Alliance. Honorable Kalonzo, I think one question our viewers want to hear...
I don't think...
Let me finish.
The issue here is not about leaving.
I want to ask you a question.
It's not about leaving NASA or leaving... first of all, I hope you recognize in one of the clips where they quoted the deputy president, he was referring people as tribal kings. And I want to remind him that one time he was a member of the Pentagon. Was indeed on the basis of where he came from that Raila Odinga and others, the presidential flag bearer, had to craft a team in 2007, and when you say correctly, I ran for election as president, becoming eventually our country's 10th vice president, not by appointment, but by negotiation. So really, we have to recognize that this country is a country of some wonderful diversity. Call them nationalities. And therefore, I would disagree with anybody who talks about tribal kingpins and the rest of it. Okay. This country's future will have to depend on these alignments. And therefore, as I said earlier on, we had NASA. Of course, before NASA, we had CORD, and that history is there. I think, if I remember correctly, I gave you a copy of my book, Against All Odds, where I record this historical development. And it's not a matter of leaving, it's a matter of planning and strategizing so that we end up with one nation, which is a nation under God, and a nation that is at peace with itself, a nation that is able to now move to the next level. And that is under Vision 2030, which some of us crafted and we are very keen about achieving.
I was giving that history to come to a question, and my question is, where are you going?
Well, Well, you know, it's very easy to know where we are going.
Where are you
talked about
going?
One nation, one
Musyoka.
alliance, one people. We are even now looking at the conversation about BBI, okay? And you have seen what you actually started by congratulating Wiper Democratic Movement for winning the Machakos senatorial contest. Not just winning, but overwhelmingly. An overwhelming win. And I remember when you conducted an interview here with me, you actually challenged me about that upcoming contest. And I hope you can now agree that when people plan and when people are focused, the sky normally is the limit.
Okay.
So we are going forward to form the next government after the next general election.
Honorable Kalonzo, help me understand this. What forms or informs this move from party to party? I've read your history. What informs these changes from one alliance to the other since you left KANU? Is it ideology? Is it a policy? Is it orientation? What makes you move from one grouping to the other?
By the way, please understand that it is not peculiar only to yours truly. National leaders have all had time to reflect, to introspect, and to form alliances, always guided by the need. By the way, I hope you recognize that political parties are formed for the sole purpose of winning political power. And depending on ideology, I am a firm believer in social democracy, for instance. And I know that over time, if you just name anybody, including the deputy president, now isn't he from Jubilee to UDA or something like that? And would you say that is leaving or something? It is recognizing the political reality at any given time during our country's history. Don't you want to position yourself.
Mm-hmm. And don't you see a problem with that? In the United States, when someone says they are Republican or Democrat, through and through you can predict the behavior and the policies that will come out of a person like that. But here, Honorable Kalonzo, it sounds like it's purely...
I think this is where we are heading.
To
be honest, I think this is where we are heading. And I would want to foresee a situation, without cutting it short, where in the next dispensation, you are likely to have one Kenya alliance being one formation, a social democracy if you like, or whatever my colleagues would want to agree, and then you have the Republicans like UDA or something, and then of course you may have a third formation. I think we are getting close to that. If we recognize right now we are talking in excess of 60 political parties, but if we end up with 3 major coalitions, we are moving in the right direction. A country like the United States have been independent since when? And therefore we can't begin to compare ourselves with them, but there are lessons that we can learn from, like when you talk of constitutional amendments, the first, the second, the third amendment. These are lessons we can learn from them, but we must recognize we are a proud African nation, beginning, of course, trying to play a very leading role in terms of positioning ourselves economically. Let me tell you, for instance, our vision, I have said this before, in order for Kenya to remain competitive in the region, I would personally want to foresee a situation where we make Mombasa a free port. This will be a winner, not just for Kenya, but the region. Right now, of course, we're talking about LAPSET and the Northern Corridor, which is an important thing for us as a country. And we'll be having this conversation going forward, and very proudly going forward in that regard. Regional integration, East African community. Can I tell you about the East African community? Because I worked hard for this. I put my heart into regional integration when I was the first chair of the ministerial committee that formed, actually revitalized the East African community. And now we have the East African community, a community of about 150 inhabitants. Imagine if we bring in the DRC, for instance, to join in after the 6 countries of South Sudan, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, and then you have the DRC. You're talking of a huge market, which will have the effect of opening up space
and
for economic growth.
That is all fair and good, but bring you back to my original question. it seems like alliances in this country are formed purely for the pursuit of power. And you've raised good points. Your ideas, I think no one will question them. But it seems that even some would say, is the One Kenya Alliance purely a vehicle to power? Is that what it's all about?
No, we are uniting this country.
Under what?
Our objective is to recognize our diversity. I say this for the umpteenth time. Mm-hmm. We recognize our richness of diversity. We are not tribes, they are nationalities. And we are trying to put this country together. One nation, one people. It is doable. By the way, that was the spirit, I think, of the handshake between the President and Uhuru.
Okay,
One Kenya Alliance. And I must quickly add, because in answer to your earlier question, mm-hmm. I will be looking up my good friend Junet Mohammed and find out who is it who is trying to elbow ODM out of an alliance. We need everybody on board.
So Raila Odinga is welcome to the One
Kenya Alliance.
Raila Odinga is welcome to the One Kenya Alliance.
Indeed. We are not leaving out anybody.
Okay, that's an interesting point to note. We have some feedback, Honorable Kalonzo. I want to start with the first one, which is actually a tweet that was posted by the governor of Makueni, Kivutha Kibwana, in response to the One Kenya Alliance. This is what he says. Did you know, ? Honorable Kalonzo was elected KANU MP in 1985. Musalia became KANU MP in 1989. Honorable Wetangula was nominated as a KANU MP by Moi in 1993. Except for Gideon, the One Kenya Alliance members are old KANU Alliance, a revival of sorts. Honorable Kalonzo, some say your One Kenya...
Raila Odinga, I don't want to engage in semantics. Governor Kibwana must be reeling from the recent defeat at Kitise. In Kitise, we are spending huge sums of public money. But I've seen him and get very impressed and received by my brother Raila Odinga. But Raila Odinga was Secretary General of KANU. Everybody was in KANU at some stage. There's nothing wrong if we revitalize KANU and make it relevant. And so I'm very happy to work with my brother Gideon Moi in this regard. This is a new dispensation. You cannot live in the past. You must focus to really aim at learning the mistakes of the past and working towards making this country a better country, even for Kivutha Kibwana.
Some ask this question, let me ask you this question tonight, Honorable Musyoka. Some see the hidden hand of forces around President Uhuru Kenyatta in the One Kenya Alliance. Is the President a silent supporter of the One Kenya Alliance?
I don't know what you mean by hidden hands and hidden things. We will be putting things on the table at the right time. The President will be welcome to join if he so chooses. But right now I think he's very busy doing his own thing, making sure that he prepares his proper legacy. So we are very open about this. We are all together in trying to see how we can shape the future together. So if the President is also entitled to take a position at the right time.
Because your critics say this, that the One Kenya Alliance has very strong links with government. People from the Junet Mohammeds of this world and others say it's actually backed by government, Honorable Kalonzo. Is the One Kenya Alliance... Is that
stronger than a handshake between Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta? I thought that was a framework handshake. Yeah?
So you're not denying it?
If people should feel very comfortable. People should be very comfortable with each other and relax. I would, of course, want to engage everybody. Everybody. We will engage everybody. That's why I told my friend Junet, I have a lot of respect for him and a little history with Junet. That's why I keep on referring to him, because he's my buddy. And I can tell you that I will work hard to make sure that this country moves forward united. We grow Kenya, we grow one country, and make it productive.
So, and you still haven't answered my question. Is the government supporting the One Kenya Alliance? Does the President support the One Kenya Alliance?
I don't have to answer that question, by the way. I don't think so. I don't think at this stage that is the issue. Whether or not the government is supporting or not supporting, I don't know what you mean by the government. If you need President Uhuru Kenyatta, he hasn't come out to say anything. And I think you should let him be entitled to his opinion, as I said, as he works towards making sure that he leaves a legacy of a united country. So why would you be worried about support by government or not government? Some of us believe in disruptive politics, by the way. So we'll disrupt even your thinking at some stage.
Some say the disruptive politics...
in order to organize you better.
Some say the disruptive politics...
Disruptive in the positive sense.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about disruptive in the positive sense, not negatively.
Okay.
Because, you see, there are people who are waiting to say you're being supported by the government in order to make you a project. Okay? And nobody wants to look into that kind of a thing. We are an open society. Kenyans have come a long way from the days when men and women used to go into detention because the law and the constitution then formulated it that way. Things have changed, but they're going to change even for better. I remind Kenyans of my clarion call, let us keep hope alive. And I will be seeking out everybody personally, in order to be able to make sure this country is united, remains united, and will remain united. But of course, as it remains united, we must also feed our people. This is why I keep on reminding everybody of the need to have the green gold, which is our agriculture. And this to me is very important.
Well, Honorable Kalonzo, as you mentioned disruption, and I just want to finish this up before we talk a little bit about the way forward. Some say the only disruption that they've seen so far with the One Kenya Alliance has been what ODM is complaining about. Deputy President as well, possibly, that you have disrupted their closeness or proximity to the BBI process as this alliance.
I like that. I like that. That's good disruption. That's a
you
good
don't
one.
deny it.
I mean, where have they been? Closeness? No, I'm not talking about that. I don't remember when I last spoke to President Uhuru, by the way. So this is an issue. We are focused. If it is that ODM lost to ANC in Matungu, and that Wilburrows lost in both Matungu and Kabuchai, and overwhelmingly in Machakos, that is proper disruption. And they haven't seen nothing yet.
Honorable Kalonzo, a question coming in from one of our viewers tonight. Ask Honorable Kalonzo, is the One Kenya Alliance being used by the quote-unquote deep state to push Honorable Raila out of the power equation and next year's presidential succession?
Now that is speculative. I don't think I need to answer such speculation. Absolutely not the way forward.
Can you say that for those who see that is the end result of what the alliance is becoming?
No.
The disruption
I don't think I want to engage in that type of semantics. By the way, it was me who once talked about the deep state. And I think everybody seems to have woken up the reality that men and women organize themselves in certain ways. By the way, I don't know. I think people have taken this definition of deep state out of context, completely out of context.
Please give us
because what would you say of a man who is number two, a deputy president? Deputy president sits actually at the national. You may not know this, but there's a body which is chaired by the president and also deputized by the deputy president, the National Security Council, for instance. National Security Council, if you like, is really the epitome of what one would call a deep state. So if people are already in the deep state and they're crying out, woof, you begin to wonder. So it is actually a misnomer, misuse of the term. Yeah.
So what is it in your view?
This is it. I think I will have vocation to talk a bit more going forward about this, because people are jumping out and saying deep state, right, left, and center without knowing that they are actually member state.
Okay, you said that people have gotten the definition wrong of deep state. What is the definition of deep state as per Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka? No,
I don't think I need to engage in that discussion at this stage. I think we rather talk of the positive aspects. And I told you, post-COVID, we really need to work extra hard. We really must, as a country, get together. Even as we do the political formations, we need to be able to grow our economy. We have children who are getting born. If you look at the number of children who have actually sat for KCPE, 1 million young Kenyans with no job possibilities given what is happening with the pandemic. If you recognize the fact that we have borders, and I call all these people, by the way, entrepreneurs, the informal sector, the mamambogas, if we care about mamambogas, and men and women will go out every morning to the Gikomba market, yeah, in order to address these issues, let us get them vaccinated. I've gone for the common man's vaccine. Others have chosen to go for the most expensive. These are some of the realities. We are going to change this narrative going forward.
Honorable Kalonzo, let's switch gears. I think we've tried to really go through that a bit. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Building Bridges initiative, an initiative you've supported for quite some time, at least in the times that we've interviewed you. The current reality at this time is that because of the pandemic, there are no rallies, there are no meetings. Reggae, it seems, has stopped. What's the future of BBI, in your view?
Kenyans must be allowed to continue to engage. The process now is before the floor of both the National Assembly and the Senate. I would want to urge them to get their act together and at an opportune time get Kenyans to make a decision on this very important matter. It being premised on the need for national unity. Kenyans must remember that. That's why we came out in full support of the handshake between President Uhuru Kenyatta and Prime Minister Raila Odinga. We have made it unequivocally clear that we support the BBI. And let people stop the prevarication, the filibustering on the floor of the House through the committee business, so that Kenyans can then at the right time engage. As I said, we are not going to be this pandemic forever. I think that when the positivity rate comes down again to 2%, to 1%, Kenyans will begin to move around. During the recent by-elections in Machakos senatorial contest, for instance, we did the best we could to observe the COVID protocols so that we could not end up getting all the people, a lot of our people invested. And the same happened in Kabuchai and in Matungu. So, my friend, let us get Parliament, work hard, let them not be a hindrance to this process. I must congratulate Junet because I saw him coming very clearly as one of the co-chairs along with Dennis Waweru, that by July there will be a referendum. Let Kenyans accept or reject this referendum. But for us, the position is very clear.
Okay. And Honorable Kalonzo, some would then ask, at a time when nations around the world are scrambling to get vaccines and scrambling to hold their economies together, political leaders like yourself are still saying a referendum can happen. Do you see a disconnect between the needs of the masses and the needs of the political class?
By the way, do you realize, my good friend, that we actually have a very resilient economy? If only we can get rid of corruption, and under One Kenya Alliance, this is our clarion call. If only we can get rid of corruption and get people really being serious about accountability, we will have resources not only to conduct the referendum, but to save ourselves from this pandemic. We cannot stop the country from moving forward.
Honorable Kalonzo, our debt repayments hit 1 trillion from the financial year beginning in July. We have a resilient economy, but some say it is at the end of, it's gone through quite a bit, and the economy, the pandemic and everything else has pushed it even further. Some would ask, is now the time really to be emphasizing a referendum?
Well, I don't think we're emphasizing referendum. We are just emphasizing the process. There's a process underway. We cannot just abandon the process. And the Parliament wants to go down the history of this country as having abandoned a constitutional process, so be it. But as I see it, it is possible, I've always said it before, it's possible to have even a non-contested referendum. After all, I even hear the wheelbarrows support this referendum. So what is a big issue? We can make it cost-effective, even as we wrestle with the problem of this pandemic. But of course, the priority should be saving Kenya's lives. The priority should be jump-starting this economy. That is the obvious priority. Nobody can run away from that.
When Wycliffe Oparanya, who's a high-ranking member of the ODM party, says, is it time to think about possibly postponing BBI, using that money to buy vaccines. What do you read into that statement?
I don't know. If he says that he's a deputy, I think Wycliffe Oparanya is a deputy party leader to Raila Odinga. I think the other deputy is Hassan Joho. I don't know whether ODM have met to take a position. Parties can always review their positions. If that is the case, ODM are entitled and everybody else is entitled. I stress honest conversation about these things. Nothing under the table. If people feel there's a problem at hand with having this referendum, let them say so. Yeah?
Okay, let them say so. Honorable Kalonzo, even as we wrap this up, because I have a few more questions for you and from the viewers as well. With all the obstacles that we are seeing, you still see July as a possibility for that referendum? If it passes, we will be able to do the boundaries process in time for an election by August 2022 next year. Do you see a challenge with the timelines, with where we are as a nation right now?
Yeah, there may be. There may be, quite frankly, a challenge with timelines, particularly if the National Assembly and the Senate do not move with the necessary speed like the counter assemblies did. All right? So there must be some necessary adjustments because of that anticipated delay. But I'm saying we must be able to conclude a process. You cannot abandon a process midway without any reason. And Kenyans are open people. Very open. So let us look at those timelines. By the way, I don't think the law says that before you go to the next election, you must have the number of constituencies, because the primary role of the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission is to do the delineation of constituency boundaries, of course guided by the outcome of the BBI process. But there will be time for that. We live in this country. This is our motherland. We do not have another country to go to. Whatever challenges face us as a people will be our responsibility. It will be our responsibility to deal with them in an open, transparent, consultative manner. And that is what we stand for.
Honorable Kalonzo, let me read some of the feedback that Kenyans are sending our way this evening. We're going to put them up. Let's start with the tweets. This is what Kenyans are saying tonight. Kipto Yegon is asking this. Kindly ask Honorable Kalonzo what new thing One Kenya Alliance has to offer Kenyans, assuming that they are given a mandate to lead by the electorate, and also putting into consideration the fact that the principals have been in government positions before. Okay? That's one question there. Let's see another. This is coming in via our hashtag Newsnight. Jeremy Shabati wants to ask this. Kindly ask Honorable Musyoka the following. Who is the One Kenya Alliance team leader? Where is the face of Mount Kenya? Can't they, ANC, Wiper and Ford Kenya, pull out from NASA and let ODM pursue their own course? Okay, let's pull some more up. Frederick Okango says, one of the things Kenyan politicians do well is building coalitions. They know that if you don't have a coalition with you, you'll have a coalition against you. The greatest coalition is yet to come. Very cryptic. Okay, Honorable Kalonzo, you're laughing. You'll tell me why. Max Kisai says,
yes.
One Kenya depends on the
because it's...
Oh, you want to say something? Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No. Just continue.
Okay, let me read a few more. Max Kisai says, One Kenya depends on the satisfaction of every Kenyan. Kalonzo should make sure that his coalition advises the president on how we, the common Mwananchi, are suffering. We are jobless. That's from Max Kisai. Okay. Ken Mutuku says, Kalonzo is one man who fears God and can be trusted by any Kenyan. The new alliance he formed will change this country to where or better than it was in the Kibaki regime. You seem to have got an endorsement there, Honorable Kalonzo. Angela Munyasia says the Wiper Party leader is calm and composed. I have no doubt that what he speaks is genuine, and from the bottom of his heart, objective leadership could not come closer to the people. Okay. But our SMS line, 22422, let me just pick two. One says, tell Muheshimiwa Kenyans are now more informed. What they need now is a BBI that will cut the wage bill by half. We don't need 47 counties, and neither do we need all those members of parliament. Another person here, no name, but you say, ask Honorable Kalonzo, when he says he'll unite Kenyans, does he mean Kenya is not united? When he says he'll get back our country, ask him from who or from where? Has he been in government? When did we lose Kenya? And what was his contribution when Kenya was getting lost? I don't know where you want to begin, Honorable Kalonzo. Maybe begin with that last one there. Where did we lose Kenya?
No. Yeah. I don't think I need to respond to all of those tweets. These are honorable Kenyans, and they're entitled to their opinions. My team, by the way, is gathering all this together.
Okay.
And I think we'll also be able to respond to some of them.
Can you respond to the last one?
This is the type of thing. I am very excited we are Kenyan. We have not lost this country, but we have lost this to corruption, runaway corruption, right? For instance, when you say we're getting it back, we're getting it from those mandarins who are very well known. When we say that we need to unite the country, we know exactly what we are doing. Some of us have been working in the region to unite people of the DRC, to even our brothers in South Sudan and Sudan itself, even the Somalis. We know the game. We have the heart, the ability, the wherewithal, mentally I believe, and with the support of the Kenyan people, we will get this country proud again.
Are you concerned that months after the president ordered that anyone involved in procurement or irregular procurement of goods at KEMSA, for example, should be charged? Are you concerned that this process has rolled out that long?
I can see that there's some committee of parliament still dealing with this matter. I think that's a hot issue.
Why is it hot?
And so let me not comment on matters that are even before court. I think that is ongoing, and that is the way it should be. I only wish that it could be dealt with expeditiously.
Okay, you don't want to say anything further on that, and you were very vocal about it the last time I spoke to you.
No, because it's already in court. Yeah.
Okay. Honorable Kalonzo, even as we wrap this up, what will the One Kenya Alliance look like if BBI, for some reason, does not happen?
Well, I don't know. Why do you want to engage me in such very difficult speculation?
We are now talking moving forward.
We will jump those bridges. Yeah, going forward, One Kenya Alliance is serious about uniting this country. These are serious people. One of the fellows who tweeted was talking about we have all been in government. Yes, but we have not been president. Yeah, we have been there, and we mean well. But learning from the mistakes of the past, looking at the region, we have the ability, collective ability of the team. That is One Kenya Alliance, and which is growing, by the way. The team is growing in leaps and bounds. And I think what people are afraid of is the groundswell that is happening under the One Kenya Alliance. So, if you can't stop them, if you can't beat them, join them. That's also a good strategy.
I asked that question because in BBI, Kenyans can understand how the 4 principles of the One Kenya Alliance would work should they form government. But if there is no BBI and there's only the post of the president and the deputy, how and what will the One Kenya Alliance look like? Have you discussed that?
Can I ask you to, maybe you've never seen a document which is already a public document, the NASA Coalition Agreement. That is already registered with the Register of Political Parties. We didn't have BBI, but under its terms, we had made a very clear formulation, if I can tell you, that Raila Odinga was supposed to be the president, I was supposed to be deputy president, Mudavadi was supposed to be the chief coordinating minister, Wetangula, that is NASA, was supposed to be a deputy premier. All those things are possible. Yeah, but it is not that we are looking for positions for ourselves. It is a matter of uniting under a principle that whoever will be president will be the first among equals. In real terms, consultative, that nobody will lord it over his brothers and sisters, and that is the way we are going. This time round, we are not getting it wrong, my friend.
Okay, and as we wrap this up, will you be putting your name forward as the presidential flag bearer of the One Kenya Alliance?
Well, again, I don't think it's an appropriate question at this stage, but of course, everybody knows. Everybody knows. I think it's like asking a very obvious question.
I thought it was the simplest question.
I've actually answered that question so many times. But within the framework, within the framework of the alliance, yes, indeed, we'll be consulting. And if my colleagues set on me, it will be wonderful. Okay, so this is clear.
Okay, you sound very magnanimous. If they don't settle on you?
Life goes on.
Life goes on. Okay.
Yes, the country moves on.
You would not bolt out.
And I'm a team player. I am a team player, my friend. I played the team, sometimes to great personal disadvantage, but I play the team.
And what you're telling Kenyans tonight is that in 2022, once again, you're ready to play with the team, no matter the decision made there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'll play with the team.
Okay.
Of course, if I'm given the center forward, if I'm given the Messi position, why not?
Okay. I've had the.
But I can tell you, Kenyans should expect that we'll walk with them. The most important thing, we'll not allow Kenyans to walk alone. We'll walk with them in whichever position. We'll walk with Kenyans.
Honorable Kalonzo, it's a question I asked you earlier, but it keeps coming up and our viewers keep sending it. Should you find yourself in State House sometime in September 2022 as the president of this country, in the first 100 days, what would your priorities be, especially the economy? These are questions.
I will answer that question during the next interview, because I think you're already tiring your viewers. But I can tell you the first 100 years will be phenomenal. We will be absolutely phenomenal. We'll have kicked out 100 days. We'll have kicked out. I think a number of people probably will be in jail. I'm sorry, I'm not scaring anybody. But if we are going to fight corruption, we will need to get to set these things right. Yeah? The low-lying fruit, as I said, of President Uhuru that time was the fight against corruption. That within the first 100 days of the One Kenya Alliance, there'll be a lot of movement in that direction. I can assure you. And the need to get, as I said, the country back, the confidence, get to inspire Kenyans that tomorrow is a better day. Post-COVID Kenya, we will be moving very strongly in growing the economy. Grow Kenya. And I think even if we cannot grow it in the first 100 days, it will be clear the forward-thinking approach will make it very obvious. And that is how you can actually win the confidence of our people.
Okay. Honorable Kalonzo, I know you're saying our viewers are tired. They're not. They're still sending the questions. So let me throw in one last one before we wrap this up. You paint a very optimistic future of the Kenya you would take over should the voters pick the alliance. But many ask, the realities on the ground are still different. How will you handle the debt question? Will you stop some projects if they're too expensive? Are you ready to make those tough decisions, Honorable Kalonzo?
Yes, of course, a leader must be able to take. Have I not seen today that the president has ordered a review of the power purchase agreements? I can tell you, when I was vice president, President Xi Jinping was the vice president of the People's Republic of China. I have no doubt in my mind the first point of call will be him, and to be able to review the debt relationship between the People's Republic of China and Kenya. That is a doable thing. We will be, I think, in fact, I've seen even during these COVID times, the People's Republic said China were able to say they were postponing the debt repayment. It's a matter of negotiating. And if you look at this as business, I tell you a negotiating principle is, in business you don't get what you deserve. You rather get what you negotiate. It will be time for of our external debt relations. It will be important for us to think as Kenyans, grow the economy within the region, within the African context, be able to get this economy able to repay and honor our external commitments. But until we're able to do so, we must be realistic and we'll renegotiate. Yes.
And Honorable Kalonzo, I will take that as your last word. You've promised another interview soon to talk about the finer details of some of the questions that you said you will not fully tackle right now. Thank you so much.
You have my word.
Okay.
You have my word.
Thank you. Hopefully you come with your manifesto. I was going to ask about the One Kenya Alliance manifesto. Next time, please send me a copy and we'll go through that.
Have you gotten your vaccination?
Unfortunately, they have not gotten to me yet. I am not yet in that list, but I'm sure I'll get it soon. And thank you.
You're still young. I was in college with your dad, Waiga.
Thank you. Yes, I am aware. Thank you, Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, for your time.
Thank you.
And for joining us on Newsnight and for answering those questions. And that's where we wrap this up. Thank you so much. To all our viewers who have tuned in for this interview, remember the feedback has been coming in via 22422 and hashtag Newsnight. Quite frankly, overwhelmed, cannot go through all of them, so we are going to have to leave it there. But remember, we do this every Tuesday, trying to bridge or find that nexus between politics, governance, and the state of the nation. So if it's about COVID, it's about politics and the decisions that are made, and we endeavor to give you the policy makers to answer your questions as and when they are available. So thank you for tuning in, and let's do this again next week, Tuesday. On behalf of the fantastic team that's made this broadcast possible, thank you so much. And Yula Nzale, our sign language interpreter, helping us through this discussion as well. My name is Wahiga Mwaura. Have a good night. Stay safe. God watch over Kenya. We'll see you soon.